Well, I hope we're all having a better morning than we were yesterday morning here in the Metro. I think the weather awareness or alert started pretty early, and it was kind of a gnarly day from start to finish. So big kudos to the SuperTalk news team and all of the hosts that broke in with weather breaking news. Keeping you safe is our first priority here on SuperTalk. Also, it is Teacher Appreciation Week, or ish, and then I think next week too. But this is a great time, too, to say kudos to all the teachers yesterday who had to take in children. Parents from the car rider line had to make some quick decisions and put their own sort of thoughts and feelings to the side to keep our kids safe. As far as I know, all children and schools were safe during the crazy that happened like right at let-out time yesterday for schools and for parents trying to get in car rider lines. So many teachers really did spring into action. There were some difficult decisions that had to be made about buses and such, and I understand the frustrations that can come from that. But at the end of the day, when all kids are safe and made it home okay and in one piece, and I think that is something to be grateful for. Also, if you got the chance to catch the video of the tornado that happened there on Luckney Road, you're probably too saying your prayers and your thanks that you weren't necessarily in that. And if you were, good Lord, we were all praying for you and rooting for you as you were going through that intersection at like the worst possible time ever. Perez, where were you during the meltdown that was our weather between the hours of like 2 to 4 here in the metro area?
Well, yesterday afternoon, I was home and in the bathroom.
I was gonna say, did you have your safe space?
I was in the bathroom. I was being texted from all around, being told, go get in your bathroom or go downstairs. I don't live downstairs. I'm not going downstairs. I don't know those people.
Under these circumstances, they should have moved over and given you a slot in the hall, but glad to know everyone's safe.
Yeah.
It looks like the weather, if you go to supertalk.fm, click weather, it looks like a whole lot better day today and coming up through the weekend. The craziness, I think, has moved past at least for a few days, but it is May, so you just never know what's going to happen. But it's also Wednesday here on the Metro, so Perez, it wouldn't be without us asking, what's the forecast for your fitness opportunity
Boy,
today?
am I glad that you asked this question.
Comes like clockwork.
So, Monday afternoon, we had our little chat, and I was told, if you just hit me 4 hands, I'll be good for Wednesday. And I said, I'll try to hit just 4 hands to you. Okay, not a problem. Yesterday, tornadic activity, I got a call. Blankety, 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 I have to work. Now, you can just add any words that you'd like before I have to work.
Meaning today.
Today. So,
No.
no.
Well, you need to seize the opportunity that is the beautiful day that the Lord has made and get out there and do something.
Okay. So Kelly said,
who's our guest, who's patiently waiting for us to get to her story here on the Metro.
Right.
And this is great.
Kelly said that I was being quietly ghosted. And you said, no, you're not. You've just been ghosted.
You were ghosted. You were like the girl who won't take no for an answer from the cute boy. Sorry, I'm not interested. I've got plans tonight. Well, what about the next night? Well, what about the next night? And you just keep going for it. And they're just gently, long before, you're just going to text that number and it's going to be disconnected.
Because I know he doesn't know how to put his voicemail on there. So, yeah.
Hey, you've reached the voicemail of blank. If this is Perez, I'm not interested in playing.
I don't care what kind of backhand you have. Get off my phone.
I'm going to play golf. Meaning I like her, not you.
Apparently.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing. But we do like to keep up with that every week here on the Metro and still encourage you to get out and enjoy something by yourself. But we are going to get to our guest who's here with us in studio, Miss Kelly Tucker. She is the founder of Kylie's Kolors and has nothing to do with tennis or storms, but it definitely has a good mission here in the Metro. So welcome, Kelly.
Hey, thank you for having me.
I'm going to move you this way, straight in front of it. There we go.
How about that?
So first first, let's just start off, Kelly, with who is Kylie?
Okay. Kylie was, unfortunately, she's now an angel, but she was a little girl from San Diego, California, who was battling stage 4 neuroblastoma, which is an aggressive form of childhood cancer.
And how did you come across Kylie's story?
I love this part of the story. I was just scrolling through social media like we do so often, and came across her story. A friend of mine had shared it on Instagram, and so I just started following the story and her cancer journey. She was two years old at the time, and my daughter Rivers was 2 at the time, so it really resonated with me.
And so many of us, though, can connect with that, Kelly. I mean, we all look through our social media feeds. It's now a great platform to, ask for prayers, for even donations for families in need, to connect with those sort of human interest stories like our own. But not everybody takes it the next step to sort of really go past the little bit of a GoFundMe, throw in, buy a T-shirt, whatever that may be, or a lunch meal or something, hot meal that they may be creating to support the family. You kind of took it and really ran with it in a different direction. So tell us how Kylie Kolors came about, or were there other steps in your support for Kylie before you went full-blown nonprofit mode?
Yeah. I have to just say it was the constant nudging of the Lord to say, Kelly, if you are, because I followed her story for months and found myself waking up at around 11 o'clock at night because I knew that's about the time that her mom would post an update. It almost to the point of feeling unhealthy a little bit. And so I just kept feeling the Lord nudge me to do something. Like, Kelly, if you were this moved by it, then you need to take action. I didn't know the family. They were strangers to me, and they were from California, and Kylie was being treated in New York. But I again, just felt like I needed to do something. So initially, I just hosted a garage sale and told my friends what I was doing, and they donated items to the garage sale. And I sent a check from those proceeds to the P.O. box that was on the Facebook page and kind of thought, all right, Lord, I'm done.
How much did you raise with your garage sale?
It was like $1,200.
Still.
Yeah, that's a pretty good garage sale.
That was, yeah.
But and I kind of thought, all right, I've met the expectation
Check
here.
that off.
Check that off, and I'm going to move on. And the Lord was like, oh no, that's not what I meant. So He just continued to pursue me to do something.
Did the family respond back with your donation?
No, I think it was really just incredible. Social media can be a good thing. It can be a bad thing, but it can also be an incredible platform to do good if people use it in the right way. And they had like 250,000 followers on their Facebook page, and so I'm sure that they were getting donations all the time. But so I didn't hear anything from them, and honestly, I didn't expect to.
That's not why you did it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, I just continued to watch Kylie's journey, and every, it didn't really matter what she was going through at the time. I'd always see that her little fingernails were painted. And that really represented the innocence of a child to me, because my daughter Rivers wanted the same thing at that age. And so, I thought, I wonder if I could start a private label nail polish company.
Because that's what everybody does.
And it's funny because I'm a banker. That's what I do for a living. And finance people and accountants and things, we're not really known for being creative. And that's why I always give glory to God, because this is the only creative thing that I've done in my life. And I don't want to ever take personal credit for it, because it's just, it really was something that He gave to me, the idea that He gave to me. But I thought, what it would be, because if you think of OPI nail polish, it's nail polish. And what makes it fun is that it has these funny names, And so I thought, well, maybe Kylie's family could pick out the nail polish colors and name it something that's meaningful to her family, right? And use that as a platform to help raise money. So that's really where it began.
Well, that's an idea. And I think, and that's why I love talking through some of these starts of nonprofits like Kylie's Kolors by you, Kelly, and what motivated you to do it. And I think, and it's not to say, any shame or regret for us who have felt the nudge to do something great and then backed ourselves out of it, because I think that the Lord makes sure that he finds an open door, even if it's not necessarily you that accepts it. But to hear these stories and then go, maybe the next time you have that nudge for another family or another situation, another idea, that you remember them and you remember people like Kelly and go, okay, she took the next step, right? She didn't just have the great idea, fantasize about it. She actually started like, okay, I want a private label, fingernail company. How do I make that happen? So that's my next question. Yeah. What's next? Because it's one thing to fantasize about having all of these colors and this idea, but then where do you even go to start to see how you get a private label fingernail polish company?
Okay. Well, and again, like I said, once I started going forward, every time I would come to something that I didn't know how to do, the Lord provided me a solution. I'm a business-minded person, so I know there's got to be some sort of business operation set up outside of just the broader idea. And through my daily job, I have relationships with attorneys, I have relationships with CPAs, and I just reached out to them. It's just relationships that I already have. And I think one of the greatest things about this whole process is there are so many people who are willing to help. We can't all be leaders necessarily, but there are so many people who want to help and who want to use their gifts to help develop something else, and that's really what has been so amazing about this process. I get a lot of credit for something that I did not do by myself. But so I reached out to an attorney friend and said, hey, this is what I want to do. I have no idea, other than Google, how to find a private label nail polish company. I don't know how to set it up from a business perspective. And he jumped right in. And he did a ton of research for me and helped me get my business set up. And he did it all pro bono.
How much of this behind the scenes did you get up and going, Kelly, before you got in contact with Kylie's family? Because I know, that has to be a little bit of stalker feeling mentality, like you're the peeking Tom that then taps on the window and goes, but I have good intentions.
Yes. Okay. So
but even though they in respect, they were giving their story. They were using social media, they had opened that door for kind-hearted people to want to help.
Yeah.
But still, that's got to be awkward.
There is a but still on that one. I kind of needed to, I did a lot of background to make sure I could do it. Can I really do this? And I had to have a conversation with my husband, which is interesting in that, hey, husband, I need this amount of money to capitalize this idea for a family that we don't know. Can you imagine having that conversation?
Not in Mississippi.
Not Mississippi.
It's not whatever.
It was
not that they don't matter, but
that's right, right. But still, several thousands of dollars, and and so he was shockingly very, he's like, if you feel like this is something the Lord wants you to do, let's do it. And so that was one hurdle. But Kylie was really struggling, and I didn't want to burden her parents with me trying to, she had thousands of people messaging her on Facebook, but I'd followed the story long enough to know who Bree, her mom, Kylie's mom's best friend was. And so I messaged her on Facebook, and I was like, hi, I'm Kelly from Mississippi, and I have this idea to help, Kylie's family, and just here it is, and kind of spelled it out in a really long Facebook message through Messenger. And she got with Bree. Like, I didn't even know if I was going to hear back.
Right.
And she got with Bree, and Bree loved the idea, and her husband was very skeptical. Right.
As maybe someone should be.
Absolutely.
Because, and that's like, even down to the point when, you go pick up your kids from daycare and it's your mom and they haven't seen them before and they want the ID. I'm like, thank you for IDing my mother, because, you don't know she's mine, and somebody needs to be skeptical to keep our kids safe. So
absolutely,
you have to almost welcome that.
Yeah. And I completely appreciated it, because in their mind, this is their child, and I'm a stranger who's saying I'm going to raise money for their family.
Through starting a business,
right.
Not just like a
That's
garage
right.
sale
That's
or
right.
selling chicken plates.
That's right. Yeah, and I'm going to put up X amount of dollars of my own money to do this. And for him, I totally I totally get it. Like he was, you know, are you going to use my daughter's story for your personal gain?
Got it.
And so it took a little bit. And I, to your point, I completely appreciate that. So to this day, I'm very transparent with their family. You know, we've been doing this now for 7 years. And so they don't even care. You know, they don't even, I just send money. And they're still very much involved in the polish and the things that we pick out and the things that we do. But obviously we've built a relationship, and I've been out to meet them and such. So
when you finally got the green light from Dad, which totally get, what was the first colors that you created for Kylie?
Well, this is the fun part. And this is an important piece of the conversation. When I presented it to Bree, Kylie's mom, she loved the idea, but she said, Kelly, we really need to use this platform to help other families. She said, because before Kylie was diagnosed, I didn't even know that there was a community of cancer families that existed, and now I'm amongst them. And so when we launched our first line in December of 2014, and we had colors like bravery and inspiration, and one of Kylie's favorites was named Hoo Hoo, which she had this little blue owl. That was one of her favorite. Then she called it Hoo Hoo. I know. And so it was a blue color. And so we launched that December, and we had colors called Kai Kai because that was the nickname that they called her. But we launched that one night at 11:30, and
I will say the rest is history, but we're going to get that history in a little bit more with Kelly coming up next.
Mamma mia, here I go again. My, how can I resist you? Mamma mia, does it show again? My, just how much I missed you. Yes,
Did you know I needed some share on a Wednesday, Perez?
Yeah,
I'm going to need my daily dose tomorrow, too.
I know.
But some weeks, you just need share twice to put a little sparkle in your eye or make you roll your eyes. I don't care. We all look forward to it, though, here on the Metro. And we look forward to hearing a little bit more about Kylie's Kolors and the story behind it. Founder Kelly Tucker is with us today. And if you are just tuning in, to catch you up to speed, Kylie was a young girl who had childhood cancer. And Kelly followed her story and felt inspired to do something for the family. And so started this business of making nail polish with fun colors to be able to sell for profit, although it's a nonprofit, but for profit to be able to give back to the families. So, Kelly, you left us with the fact that 11:30 at night, you were pushing, I guess, send to upload the first opportunity. And which colors were those for Kylie?
Well, there were like Bravery and Inspiration and Hoo Hoo and Kai Kai. There were, I think we ended up having probably 10 total, but we had 2 polishes that honored 2 other children as well at the time.
You wanted to spread the love with other families
That's
who were
right.
suffering with children who had cancer. So what happened after 11:30?
So 11:30, I launched the website and really not having a clue what the response would be. I had ordered the minimum amount of polish, which was 1,000. I think it was like 1,007 bottles. By 5 o'clock the next morning, we were completely sold out.
It's crazy.
It was so crazy. It was so insane. And by the end of that week, we had sold over 3,000 bottles of nail polish. So I learned a lot through that. Like, don't allow for back orders, because it took weeks for me to be able to get the polish back in and fill those back orders. But I mean, truly, the response was incredible.
Which you knew then you had something, like, again, going back, and we'd love for you to listen to Kylie's story from the beginning. You can do that on demand. We'll make sure we get that up. But this has started with the nudge and just putting one foot in front of the other, and all the pieces are falling together that you think you're hearing from God. I always think about Noah when you hear stories like this, because what a nut he must have felt to himself to feel like he needed to build a boat and then convince everybody to help and then to line everybody up and then to sit and wait for the rain, and then you're like, you're validated. Not that Kylie's Kolors was a worldwide flood, but it's like the rain came and you're like, okay, this all made sense. I did all the pieces and now it's taking off. Like you wanted, like there was something greater going on here.
Absolutely. And I think that's when I knew for sure that I was walking in obedience to what the Lord had asked me to do. He had shown himself throughout the entire process. From me trying to figure out how do I ship, what do I put it in, all of those things, and having folks just kind of show up and teach me how to do all of that, up until we launched. I love this part of the journey in that I didn't even have a name for our company, and I went to visit with my accountant and said, here's what I'm trying to do. How do I do this? What do I need to be thoughtful about? And he's like, well, what's the name of the company? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not there yet. And so at the top of his legal pad, he wrote Kylie's Kolors, and he spelled colors with a K. And I was like, okay, well, that's the name of my company.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. My best friend did she did all of the logos and things for me. So again, like I said, it was just validation and affirmation that I was moving in the direction that the Lord had called me.
Did you ever hear from Kylie's dad after maybe the first check got sent, or all of the response of maybe not an I'm sorry, because he definitely doesn't deserve to apologize for being the one that looks out for his family in terms of being skeptical of people on the internet, but ever maybe just hey, this is all, or just that validation from him as well, that this was
Yeah, so when we hadn't gotten to this part, but so I launched in December of 2014, and in February of 2015, Kylie passed away. And I just really felt like I needed to go to the funeral. And so I flew out to San Diego to attend the funeral. And again, I have never met these people. I mean, they've seen pictures of me on Facebook, and I've seen pictures of them, so I certainly recognize them. But I sat in this very large church, and Bree, Kylie's mom, had texted me and said, when you get here, I want you can come back and see Kylie. And I can remember walking, I could see the family, and they were, there was a waiting room that certain folks could go in. And when most of that traffic had settled down, I got up and started to approach Luke, Kylie's dad, and Bree. And Luke kind of stepped forward to because he didn't know who I was, to kind of be like, we don't recognize you. You're not going to be allowed back here. And of course, I'm from Mississippi, so I have an accent. And I kind of looked past Luke and looked at Bree, and I was like, Bree. And when I guess the way that I said her name, she knew it was me, just because of the way that I talk. And so throughout the next couple of days that I stayed there and was able to really get to meet the broader family and spend time with them, yes, he certainly warmed up, and they continue to be just so gracious and appreciative of the efforts.
And it continues on in Kylie's name. I know that was back in 2015 that Kylie transitioned to be an angel for
That's
Kylie's
right.
Colors. But as Bree, the mother, mentioned, there is a community that I hope I'm never a part of, if I can be frank, as you would probably as well, of families who have children who are diagnosed with cancer, and what that's like, that community is like. So even though Kylie has, knows no longer suffering and she's with Jesus, doesn't mean that other families aren't. So how did you find the courage to keep going? Was it through their family giving you the grace to use her name and keep going forward, or was it just a natural progression to continue Kylie's Colors?
Yeah, so again, in the very beginning, I thought, I'm doing this for Kylie and her family. But her family really was the one. Bree was the one who said, no, I really would, if we're going to do this, I really want to help other families. So it was somewhat natural. Now they gave me, I don't want to say they gave me an out, but they didn't have any expectation that this would be something that I would continue. But we had done so much. We had built a platform that had great response. And when you get into this, and when you start to hear these family stories, and in the things that these children, struggle with, and the disease that they so bravely fight every day, you want to continue. I think that's really what continues to motivate us. And, so what we've transitioned to over the last several years is we take nominations twice a year. We do a spring collection, which we've recently launched for 2021, and then we do a fall collection. And we take nominees or nominations for children all over the U.S. We honor both boys and girls and let them choose a nail polish color and name it. And then when we sell their polish, we send the net proceeds to their families or to a charity of their choice. So we are all volunteers at Kylie's Colors. We do not financially benefit from this in any way.
But probably the benefits come in different sort of waves. You mentioned, though, earlier to never have back orders because you understand now the process of having to fill those, or the delayed gratification for the order. So now when you have your spring and your fall colors, Kelly, do you just order a bejesus number of them, and then when you sell out, you've sold out? Or have you streamlined that? Or because my business mind's like, well, how do you forecast for that?
Yeah. I've learned a lot. Some on the job training type education, which is the best kind sometimes. But when we have nominations sent to us, and we ultimately have to narrow those down because there's only so much inventory and stuff that I can keep at my house, we really we kind of put that back on the parents to say, hey, how many of these do you think we can sell? How big is the community that supports you and your family? And a lot of times you can gauge that based off of Facebook pages. And I know that sounds
businesses numbers that sometimes. So here comes the banker in
That's
you.
right. That's exactly right. I mean,
that's okay. The analytical mind has to take over at some point.
That's exactly right. So you kind of feel bad to say, hey, look, how many followers do they have? But it has proven it's just the way that people communicate, and it's in these social media pages are the way that people are able to update friends and family on how their children are doing. So it's really been a good gauge for how many polishes to order. And so, I mean, we've had just incredible responses, just early on some of the colors that we've launched a couple of weeks ago. And, to the extent that we continue to sell them, we will continue to order them. Now, we try to get it right on the front end so that people aren't having to wait too long, because the reorder process, especially with COVID, has been extended. But, for the most part, as long as there is a demand for the child's polish, we're going to try to keep it.
Even if it's past maybe their spring or their fall
Absolutely.
line or season, so the family sort of can take it and run with it
Absolutely.
in sort of that respect,
Yes.
as well as obviously your inventory at your house. Speaking of your inventory, not sure if you have to give us away where your house is. I mean, do you have a room just full of polish?
For years, I had my dining room was my Kylie's Colors room. We never had a meal in there, but we had lots of nail polish. But we built a home, I guess, about 3.5 years ago, and I built a dedicated room, actually just a storage room that's heated and cooled off my garage, that houses all of my Kylie's Colors inventory and computers and packing material and things of that nature.
Wow, what was the biggest hurdle to get over once you got going? What was maybe the best lesson learned in the whole distribution, packaging, mailing, all the things?
To ask for help.
Especially since you're not paying anyone.
That's right. But you know what? And I said that earlier. Like, not everyone is necessarily going to be the leader and I'm certainly not taking. The Lord just chose me, and I'm glad that He did, because I've learned so much in trusting Him. And but there's so many people who are willing to help, who want to help, and I'm not very good at delegation. I'm not very good at asking for help, so I try to do it all, and I've learned that I can't, and to really allow other people who have the heart to give back and to do good things, to let them in and help.
Isn't it funny how sometimes God puts us in the positions to make us break even when we're doing
Yes.
good for others, to make us also be humbled to face the things that we desperately need to learn our own lesson, which is just
Absolutely.
help, and
Yeah.
you can't do it all, and you will drown.
Yeah.
And
That, and it's right. And there are often times where I'm like, I really don't think I can do this anymore, because I have a very demanding job. We have 2 children. I have a farm and
A husband.
So a husband. Oh yeah, that's right. He always says he's last on that list, and that's certainly not intentionally. But there's just, life is just so busy. But we had the opportunity to be in Mistletoe Marketplace this year, and it was just such an incredible platform for us to share our ministry and what it is that we do. And I had a young woman approach me, and she was very emotional, which often happens. And
I know the rest of the story,
Okay.
so I don't want to give any of it away till coming up next. But I also want to give away some tickets. So baseball is back at Trustmark Park. We have a game tonight. That is May the 5th at 6:35 p.m. If you want a pair of tickets, text in Braves to 601-879-4395. We have 4 pairs of tickets.
Oh, no.
No, 4 tickets. Just text in Braves, 601-879-4395. We'll tell you if you won and what you won. More coming up next. Should I be offended, Perez?
Nah, not today.
Not today. Okay, today's not the day. But winner, chicken dinner. If you text in Braves from the 662, I won't give the rest of your information away. Give us a name because you have won yourself 4 tickets to the Braves game tonight. The gates open at 6:35, or the game starts at 6:35. I bet
That's
the gates
correct.
open before that at Trustmark Park. And make sure you keep listening to the Metro all baseball season. You never know when you're going to have an opportunity to win yourself and your family and friends some good tickets. And don't forget to go out too and support all that goes on there at Trustmark Park. And I hope if you've got young girls or nails that you like to keep polished, you are thinking about supporting Kylie's Kolors, and that's Kolors with a K. If you are just tuning in with us, it's a beautiful story. But we have the founder here, Kelly Tucker, who was sharing a very special moment at Mistletoe Market this past year where you had your nail polish named by children who are going through cancer treatments. You sell them for profit to then give all proceeds back to the individual families, just to sort of wrap that in a nice little bow. And you're there, you're doing your spiel, you're having to work at Mistletoe Market, and what happens?
Well, a young woman approaches me, and she's emotional. And like I said a few minutes ago, that happens on occasion, and so we usually just give them a hug because they a lot of times they've had some experience with cancer in their family. And the young woman said, "I just want to thank you guys for what it is that you do. Y'all honored my sister with a nail polish a couple of years ago, and what you're doing makes a difference." We're not paying off people's mortgages. We're not. We send.
I was going to say, what's the average maybe that you send to a family?
Well, and it's interesting because it depends on the response. We send as little as $500 to as much as $3,000, depending upon just the response from the communities that support these children. But, sometimes it's been very timely where somebody said, "Hey, look, that allowed me to pay my mortgage this month or my electric bill this month." And, we don't expect to raise thousands and thousands of dollars, but we're trying to bring joy and encouragement and just give the children the opportunity to have something to look forward to in such a dark
something
time.
Personal.
That's right, absolutely. And we also honor angels, and so it helps the families, or our intent is to let the families know that their child has not been forgotten, and that's a lot of times what we're trying to accomplish. But anyway, the lady approached me and said, "You honored my sister, and she's doing well. So it's such a blessing, but it's what you do is meaningful, and please continue to do it. I know that it's hard, and I know it's a lot of work, and I'm sure there are days that you want to quit and hang it up and go, does this even worth it?" And she's like, "I'm telling you, from our family, it is." And just having little stories like that to continue to encourage us that we are doing good, we are having an impact to those who we're trying to help, really does help continue to fuel our efforts.
And you mentioned that you have spring colors and sort of fall colors. Mm-hmm. And spring colors, I know everyone's getting ready to go to the beach and have their pedicures and, their manicures, especially Perez. We know you're bougie. There's a clear polish for you, I'm sure, out there.
There's a pretty good yellow in that bag.
Good yellow. That we went, no shame in your game, Perez, if you wanted to do that. But, hey, there is a clear polish if you wanted to do that way. So let's talk.
In there to get it.
Let's talk about some of the names that you handed me, this nice bag of Kelly. And if people are inspired to go to Kylie's Kolors and go ahead and place an order, maybe for a family they don't know.
Yeah.
If you're going to use fingernail polish or whatever it may be, at least you can do it for a Mississippi-based company who is sending love and joy and financial support all over the country for other families.
Yeah.
So,
well, with this spring collection, we actually have a total of 9 children that we honor. 6 of those are from our local community. So I think that's one of the misconceptions about childhood cancer is you hear often it's rare. And perhaps it's rare when you compare it to maybe breast cancer or something else, but I cannot tell you the number of children in nominations we get from just right here in a Tri-County area or even throughout the state of Mississippi. And so I'm really excited to have this many Mississippi children, not
Not because they have, but
absolutely,
because you can
absolutely.
also
I feel like we're
support your own backyard.
Absolutely. And so one of my, and I get long-winded here and don't mean to, but one of our honorees is actually from Brandon, and his name is Ian Cochran, and he has passed away. He had a very rare form of brain cancer, and May happens to be Brain Cancer Awareness Month. But I met his sweet mom, Kim. She started coming into our booths at different shows, market shows that we have done, and she's just been a huge supporter. And I happened to notice on her wrist that she had a cancer ribbon done in gray, because gray is brain cancer, the color for brain cancer awareness. And, I told her several years ago, I was like, I'd love to honor your son. And, her son was a teenager at the time, and said, if he had a nail polish, he would likely be ridiculed on end. So I just look forward to seeing her at shows throughout the years. And actually at Mistletoe this year, she came in to see us, and I asked how Ian was doing, and that's when she let me know that he had passed. And I just asked her once again would she allow us to honor her son's life and the family's journey. And
which is his color?
Choose Joy.
Choose Joy. Which color?
It's a red. It's one of the red sparkly ones. And that's when she said, she's like, I know, that's it. She said, I know what I would name it. She's like, I would name it Choose Joy because, as
you have to survive.
That's right. And they had a Bible verse that was very important to them as part of his journey, and I think, as I understand it, is towards the end of his life, he told his mama, every day you're going to have to choose joy, Mom. And so she knew she wanted it to be red, and she knew she wanted to name it Choose Joy. And so that's one of my favorite colors in the collection this spring is Ian's color. We have Kylie from Vicksburg, Mississippi. She has this beautiful hot pink, which is a perfect color for spring as well. And little Dahlia from Vicksburg, she's battling DIPG. We have another one in there that's another one of my favorites is Polly's Perfect Polish. And that's Nora Sullivan's color. She's actually from Madison. And so her cat, the way that name came about is her cat's name's Polly, and has just been really special to her and very much of comforter for her throughout her cancer journey. And so she named her nail polish after her kitty cat. So anyway, so we have 9 bright, fun colors, and these kids have been able to choose them. We do have a couple of angels where their parents chose the color. But again, in Ian's situation, because Ian has passed away, they want to donate the proceeds of his polish to Make-A-Wish of Mississippi, because I think they were instrumental in part of his journey as well. So
and it all sort of comes together, too, and I think that we all play our part when you hear things that move you. Maybe you don't move mountains and create nonprofits, but you can get online and support, Move Over Cajun Shrimp. And if you know, and that's like the color du jour for summertime. And you can at least pick another one that has a story to tell, that way when someone goes, oh, what color are your nails? That's beautiful. You now have an open opportunity to share Kylie's story or Kylie's color story, or just the opportunity to bring about joy. And then these stories, they never go away, right? Like their families kind of have that legacy. So if we want to get involved or even volunteer or whatever it may be, or buy a color, Kelly, how do we do that?
Okay. We have our Facebook page, which is really our platform to reach the masses, and it's Kylie's Kolors with a K. And that's where we post when we launch new colors and our new collections. And it's also where we will let you guys know when the nomination time is open. So we usually run 2 weeks where you can send in nominations. But again, Kylie's Kolors with a K. And our website is www.kylieskolors.com. So,
do you know to date how many you've sold?
Oh, wow. I should have really looked at that. I will tell you, I can kind of give you generalizations. We have honored about 63 children, and I'm hoping by the end of the year we will have raised about $100,000 over our 7-year
Going back to 2014, when you were just waking up at 11 o'clock at night looking for the updates on Kylie, did you ever in a million, bazillion, quadrillion years think that you would be here 6 or 7 years later?
No, I really didn't, and I'm grateful. I'll tell you, I'm grateful for those who give us the opportunity to share our story. I literally this past weekend I probably filled probably close to 400 orders just from the recent launch, and I'm standing in my garage filling orders, going, how is this even real? I just feel so blessed to be able to do it and to try to give back in this way. So again, I appreciate you guys having me, because without y'all, we don't get to share our mission.
Kylie's Kolors with a K, and here's your daily reminder to choose joy. That would be a great color to buy if you needed one to go with first, but you stick with this. You got plenty coming up next here on Super Talk Jackson. You've got the JT Show with Gerard. You've got me with Good Things, not Thursday. we'll do that one tomorrow. And you can round out your day with Sports Talk Mississippi. But Perez and I will be back tomorrow at 9. But until then, have a good day.